think about the magnitude of energy. Energy is everywhere. It's in everything. Energy is needed for change to happen. We debate a great deal about the science and technology surrounding energy, and so we should. It's a critically important topic. But there's another type of energy woven throughout these debates that's also needed for change to happen: human energy. Human energy is needed to take that physical energy and turn it into something usable. Leading operations for Johnson Controls Advanced Power Solutions, I've had the privilege of working with the Holland Zeeland community and bringing a new form of energy for transportation to the market. This plant is the country's first producing lithium-ion cells and full battery systems for hybrid and electric vehicles. The interesting thing is that this is not the only new game in town for advanced energy. Seemingly overnight, Holland has established itself as an advanced energy cluster on a global scale. So the product I'm talking about is energy, and the enabler I'm talking about is energy, human energy. So before I talk about what Holland Zeeland did to make this the case, let me paint the backdrop of the situation. From crisis comes opportunity. So first, a story we all know too well, a community hit especially hard by the recession. Michigan hit the hardest of all the states, exceeding 15% unemployment, and with 21% of the vehicles produced in the United States coming from the state of Michigan in 2005, and a decade-long decline of automotive-related jobs, it took a toll. People lost their jobs, people had loved ones who lost their jobs, children went hungry. Even those that were fortunate to keep their jobs had emotional struggles and other struggles of managing through the downsides. For myself, it was facing people that I'd worked with for 15, 20 years and telling them that we could no longer keep the operation open or that they no longer had a job. So no matter what position you were in, it meant many sleepless nights. The second part is also a story we know all too well, because you can't open your newspaper or turn on your TV today without being hit square in the face with the energy crisis. 90% of our energy for the grid is coming from non-renewable sources and is contributing to the carbon emission concerns. So where does this leave the next generation if we do nothing? Likewise, for transportation, roughly half of our oil is imported, much of that dependent on unstable relations, and also contributing to the carbon emission issues. So what do we do if we wake up someday and find that there's suddenly been a drop in that supply? And it feeds our entire infrastructure. Oops. The good news is there are options, both for the grid and for transportation. Nuclear, wind, solar, biomass, natural gas, the list goes on. For transportation, lithium ion, nickel metal hydride, advanced lead acid, biodiesels, ethanol, natural gas, and the list goes on. The issue is, for each and every one of these, there's also a naysayer out there telling us why it can't be done. So stop and think about it. It can't be that each and every naysayer is correct. It can't be that none of these are ever going to advance, none are going to emerge, and we're just going to go back to living like the pioneers. Eventually, solutions must emerge. This past summer, my 18-year-old son had the opportunity to meet President Obama on the president's second visit to Holland to see what's going on with advanced energy storage. And the press interviewed Zachary afterwards and asked him some of those classic questions we always get about lithium ion. Is it going to work? Are people going to accept these new ways of driving that come with electric vehicles? Will it be affordable? And his answer began with, you have to start somewhere. You have to start somewhere. As simple as that phrase sounds, it struck me as profound when I read it in the paper the next day. You have to start somewhere. I don't have the answers on where these technologies are going to go in the long run, and you probably don't have the answers. But that's okay. You have to start somewhere. And for each of these different solutions that we looked at, there are obstacles that we do not yet know how to overcome. And that's okay. You have to start somewhere and evolve it from there. So to those naysayers, I say, go ahead and put your energy into that list of why nots. Meanwhile, Holland, Michigan here is putting their energy into simply getting started. So already, Holland comprises the largest concentration of lithium ion for hybrid and electric vehicles in North America. That's pretty amazing. Could this be a coincidence? I don't think so. I think there are some deliberate and orchestrated steps that they took. Every single community had that same opportunity, but it was Holland that emerged. I think they were good at establishing and setting a vision. I think they set up avenues to collaborate and execute. I think they were great at telling that why West Michigan story and selling that to outside companies. They made it easy for companies to come, walking them through the logistics. They worked on growing the expertise in the area, and they worked on growing the infrastructure for the long haul to support this all-new industry. So these are the things that I think are the ideas worth sharing, which other communities can take and learn from in any transformation. So I want to dive into each of those just a little further. So first of all, leaders establish and share a vision. Oftentimes, this comes down to one person with a vision that's the spark to get the ball rolling. And in this situation, I think that was Randy Thalen, who many of you know and is our president of Lakeshore Advantage, economic development organization in town. So Randy saw these historic levels of state and federal incentives coming our way for advanced energy. And he saw a vision of Holland being able to be that cluster. So he got out there and started to stir up some interest. Frankly, these are the most significant subsidies I've seen in 17 years of doing this. So that's a quote from NPR. But I can remember phone calls a few years ago that went exactly like this. Frankly, Elizabeth, these are the most substantial subsidies I've seen in 17 years of doing this. So he was out there shaking the bushes and stirring up interest. So not only with the advanced energy storage companies, but also with the rest of the community. And you could see the community starting to get interested in this and starting to rally behind that concept. And what I saw was that there wasn't in this community that naysayer attitude that was holding some communities back about why it wouldn't work and political concerns. Instead, I saw them accepting that any one technology doesn't have to be the end game, but just that we have to get started. And I saw them accepting that that any technology will evolve once we get it off the paper, into the factories, and into the market, and we will learn from there. And I saw them accepting that the first generation of new technology isn't always fast or easy, not necessarily 1,000 jobs year one, 2,000 year two, but that there's going to be some bumps along the way and some ups and downs, but they were in it for the long haul. So I think it was this acceptance and this mindset that allowed them to go forward and spread that vision to the rest of the community. The next thing that took place was establishing avenues of collaboration. So it was the Economic Development Councils, Lakeshore Advantage, even the Michigan Economic Development Corporation. It was the chambers, Holland and Zeeland, the city, the municipalities, industry leaders, corporate leaders. They all got together, they met, they strategized, they collaborated. And they set up an ongoing meeting structure of collaboration. And it was an advanced energy storage, which they tagged as Michigan Smart Coast. I was really impressed with how community leaders got out there and they learned. They wanted to know what this new technology was about, and they wanted to show their support. In fact, here's Mayor Dykstra showing his support for lithium ion, driving a lithium ion, all-electric, zero-emissions vehicle. But I don't know that he was totally sold on lithium ion as being the only solution, because that very same day, right across the street, was one of the mayor's other zero-emission initiatives, although maybe that one's actually low emissions. And very same day, just down the block, yet another zero-emission initiative which the mayor was supporting. So I say to the mayor, that's okay, even coming from the lithium-ion field, we accept that there's a broad spectrum of solutions that are going to emerge. The important thing is that we're getting started, and we applaud him for getting started. The next thing that I think West Michigan did was really attracted companies in. So it's said that West Michigan is the best kept secret, and I think that's probably not the case anymore because secret's out. Holland has been out marketing themselves and doing a great job of it. And they have a lot to offer, so they really played to their strengths. Holland is very strong in manufacturing, with nearly 1 out of every 3 jobs being a manufacturing-related job, and that workforce is available. They're known for their strong work ethic. They're very well educated. And let's face it, Holland is a beautiful place to live, some of the best beaches in the world. And as we heard earlier, Gallup Healthway's Well-Being Index, a national poll, ranked Holland the 2nd happiest city to live in North America. So you take all these great things, and the community leaders bundled them together, and they made some DVDs and some videos and some websites and material for companies to take away when they came in, and they attracted people, because companies are made up of people, to the area. Another, I think, really big step that is behind the scenes is that they streamlined the process and made it easy for companies to get through their site selection process. When you're working through a site selection process as a company, there are a lot of logistics, it can be confusing, and there's a lot of communities vying for your attention. If you hit a roadblock or you hit a delay, it can cinch the deal. So things like what land is available, what factories are available. You need one that really fits your needs. What zoning permits will I need, and how does that work? What incentives are available at the local level, state, federal level? That can get very complicated. Who are the right people to be talking to about issues? What can I expect to pay for utilities, and how does that work? What are the housing options and the school options in the area for relocating families? So what I saw was that the group had worked together, the community leaders from different aspects, and they made sure they were proactively on top of all these things, walking companies through it, setting up meetings, orchestrating the meetings, handing out phone numbers, doing all of those kind of things that took it out of the hands of the company and made it easy for them. I equate it to the sport of curling. So the company is like the thrower in curling. They get the stone out there onto the ice in its original trajectory. But the community is like the sweepers. They're staying a step ahead, and they're using their broom to heat that ice vigorously, staying ahead of it, and making sure the stone stays on the course they want it to stay on. So Holland and Zeeland set out to be great sweepers, and they beat the competition. And then they accepted that there were some voids, and they went to town addressing those. So I talked about it's a well-educated workforce, and it is. But this new industry that was coming was a different field, very high-tech, very specialized. So colleges like Western Michigan, Grand Valley, Muskegon Community College, Grand Rapids Community College, they set up programs specific for alternative energy and advanced energy storage. They got out there and learned and spent time with the companies and figured out what these curriculums needed to have so that their students were ready for the new future. Other colleges that had curriculums like tech, engineering, and sustainable business programs, like Aquinas, Hope, and Baker, restructured their programs a little bit and did the same thing, learned what the students would need to know to be players in this new industry. So even on a community level, businesses needed to learn what they might be able to offer this new industry. So through the Smart Coast, there were a lot of different series set up so that guest speakers could come in and people could learn, be it Argonne National Labs, Department of Energy, Pike Research, and many more. And then finally, the infrastructure. The community looked at the infrastructure for this new industry and looked at how they could support it in the long haul. One example is charging stations. So while you hear the debate in the news that people aren't probably going to buy electric vehicles because there's just nowhere to charge it and it's too inconvenient, and nobody's going to put in charging stations because there aren't any electric vehicles on the road yet, well, Holland just got past this chicken and the egg debate, and they went for it. The BPW, along with ChargePoint America, has already put 17 charge stations in town. So granted, they're not getting used heavily right now, but it's there, and it's ready, and it's not going to be a showstopper. So I applaud them for taking that step. And then also on getting the whole infrastructure ready, the value stream, the entire industry, not just those making batteries. A lot of work was done to educate those folks as well, and you can see that value stream starting to grow in the industry, be it the people who make equipment, the very specialized building needs, the parts themselves that go into the batteries, warranty services, setting up recycling services, test services, engineering consultants, even pizza delivery, because these new startups are burning the candle at both ends. So already, all those things are emerging. So where does this all lead? What does it mean for the future of technology, for the future of the community? What's it mean for the future of our children and their children? Well, first, for technology, time will tell. None of us know for sure. But it's sure to be a spectrum of ever-changing technologies as time goes on, and that's okay. And whatever technologies we're working on, they're sure to evolve into something smaller and more affordable, decade over decade. That's true with any technological transformation when you think about it. Think about the mobile phone and where that started. At its inception, during World War II, it was that great big bulky thing you see on his back. And I'm pretty sure many people at that time said, worked great for that application, but not going to have a commercial use. People aren't going to carry the big thing around, and it's way too expensive. But of course, it evolved. So go home tonight and ask your teenager to imagine life without a mobile phone. They'll probably text you from across the living room and say, "What up?" It's not even a scenario they can imagine because they can't imagine how you would communicate. So the neat thing about it is, be it mobile phone, be it advanced energy, West Michigan will have played a part, truly a model community. What's it mean for the community of Holland, Zeeland? Well, first of all, a stronger economy. We talked about the hit we took in the recession, and already you see Michigan starting to trend in the right direction. But if you look specifically at Ottawa County, where we are right now, where Holland is sitting, Ottawa County, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, is the fastest growing county in the nation. Fastest in the nation. That's just unbelievable when you think about it. And I'm not saying it has to do with this advanced energy initiative that I'm talking about necessarily. I am saying it has to do with the human energy of this community and what they have done, both on advanced energy and other fronts that they're working on. The other thing it does for the community, this activity, is that it changes what the workforce of the future looks like. We're going to have a workforce, a higher percent of the workforce will be made up of high-tech roles, engineers and scientists. And that's important in this global world that we live in. It's becoming increasingly important. It's also a place that our children can go to school, go to college, and return to because there's going to be jobs and high-tech jobs. And it's going to be a more diverse community. We're drawing in talent from around the globe to get this going. And many of them are going to like what they see, and many of them are going to settle down and stay here. And we're going to be a stronger, more diverse community because of it. And finally, for this relatively small town on the shores of Lake Michigan, a name on the world stage. What's it mean for our children and their children? Well, energy independence, a higher standard of living, cleaner air, and I think very important part of it is that they will have role models in human energy. They can go on to the next transformation and follow that model, and their children can do the same, and so on. There's a quote I like in the book Good to Great by Jim Collins. Technology can accelerate a transformation, but technology cannot cause a transformation. It's human energy that can. This is truly exciting times that we are in. We are on the brink of a transformation. We are about to see great change in energy as we know it, in transportation as we know it, and it's likely to make the history books. And when it does, I hope it's the spark of a community that's credited as a key enabler to it all. Human energy. Thank you.